Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kentuckiana Travel Ball Podcast, number 3. Super excited. We got a great show for you today. The first 2 episodes have gone over fantastic. We appreciate the kind words. We appreciate the support. It's been kind of humbling, quite honestly, all of the positive feedback we've gotten, and that's exactly what we want. We want this to be a resource. We want people to get something out of this. We're not holding any secrets back. We're trying to make sure that this is something that when you listen to, you get something out of for listening to the podcast. Now, as I've mentioned before, Rick Hines and I both coach in the Wolves baseball organization. We haven't talked a lot about the Wolves organization yet because I was waiting to have our guest on, Mr. Zev Bernard. Zev, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me. The studio is awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
The studio is super cool.
I appreciate that, man. It's we are very proud of the studio, but it's actually, for those who don't know, it's part of Talgrace Marketing, which is a marketing agency that I own. Rick, who is one of the kind of the key employees here, actually built this set by his own hands. Pretty darn cool. So props to Rick on that one. But Zev, I'm really, really excited here to get into kind of what the Wolves Travel Ball Organization is, what your vision for not only kind of where we stand, but what your vision is for this future. I'll let people know that we met when I was running a trade show called Sports Fest. It was a trade show we did down at the Expo Center. It was kind of to introduce people to new sports. We had basketball and baseball and volleyball and boxing and all kinds of crazy things. Well, Zev ran the baseball portion, and it was always a highlight and always a hit at Sports Fest. I got to know Zev pretty well at that particular juncture. And then as my son kind of got old enough, Zev approached me and said, hey, I think you would be the perfect guy to coach this particular age group for the Wolves, and it's been fantastic for us. So, Zev, do me a favor. You're from Los Angeles.
Yes.
Give me your baseball background. How'd you end up in Louisville, Kentucky?
I was playing at a junior college in Los Angeles called Glendale Community College, and I was recruited to play at Spalding University for my junior or senior year. They saw me through a showcase, and they needed a catcher, so they recruited me from there, and I came here and played my junior and senior year, and it was great. Spalding was a great place.
And you stayed here, so being somebody that spent some considerable amount of time in Los Angeles, it's a different world here in Louisville, Kentucky than it is in California. Do you like it here? Is that why you stayed? Well, what's kept you in Louisville?
I loved it the second that I got here. I moved here. I didn't know a single person in the city, but I knew everybody on the baseball team, which was really cool to come in and have like a community immediately of guys I could hang out with and, get to know better. And the first difference was Thanksgiving. I was here, and they all started inviting me to their homes for Thanksgiving. And I was like, this is amazing. Nobody does this in California.
Right.
Everybody was really nice and really, really welcoming, and it was great.
That's awesome, man. So, Zev, tell us about the Wolves organization. How did it start? Where did it come from?
After I played at Spalding University, I coached there for the next 4 years. From 2008 to 2012, I was a coach there. I was doing a ton of baseball lessons on the side, at parks, at little leagues, anywhere I could find space. I was, giving lessons. And I realized there was a need for really good coaching at the younger levels. These guys that were whatever ages like 8 to 14 until they get into high school, these guys weren't really getting good baseball instruction. So they were getting to high school. They didn't know all of the intricate baseball rules. They didn't know some basic mechanics, just things like that I thought they should definitely know by the time they're 14. I realized these guys didn't know. So I had the idea to start, I was going to start one team and coach it. I thought it was going to be a 12-year-old team, but it ended up being 2 16-year-old teams. Just kind of fell into my lap a little bit. A really great group of 16-year-olds that I learned from doing lessons, and I thought we were going to have this one team, and we ended up with 2 really good 16-year-old teams, and that was in 2012, and that was the start of the Wolves, was those 2 16-year-old teams.
Awesome.
So did this desire, obviously playing college baseball, you grew up playing baseball in California. Did they have that kind of thing in California?
No,
you were trying to recreate?
Not at all. Travel baseball was very minimal in California. The little leagues, and I know we'll talk about this later, I'm sure. Yeah. The little leagues in where I was in Los Angeles area anyway, and I'm sure it's this way in a lot of California, were really strong. Like the little leagues were the place to go. If you weren't really good, you would get cut from your little league. And there wasn't rec league either. There was just 3 or 4 in the area competitive baseball leagues. And really, it was tough. If you couldn't hack it, then they would cut you. It was tough. It was a tough. It was
cut from a little league team.
It was a tough world. But to answer your question, there was not a lot of travel ball. What guys would do and what teams would do is you would kind of just get a group together for maybe 1 or 2 tournaments in the summer. That was the extent.
That was what travel ball was.
Yes, that was the extent of it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I can say about the Wolves organization, this is from an outsider. There are a few organizations in town that feel like it's a little bit more about the financial piece. It's about kind of making money. Now, while you're certainly running a business, what we've appreciated, and I don't want to speak for Rick, but I think he would agree with me, is you're all about the kids. And while it is a business, it's also the business doesn't get in the way of what needs to happen for the kids, for the teams, for things. You've never said no to us. We've always come to you and been like, hey, we want to go do this, we want to do this and that. And you've never said no once. The money that we pay in the Wolves organization is minimal compared to some of the other organizations in town. And the opportunity in the Wolves organizations is a little bit different than some of the other organizations. Talk to me about that, because I know you have some strong feelings in that area.
Yeah, I do. We want to have good baseball teams, and we want to win every game that we're out there, of course. But the goal beyond that is trying to develop these kids from whatever age we find them, whether it's 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever age it is. We'd love to see them develop over the next 3 to 5 years, however long they're with us. Really like to see them develop as a person. We really, really, really strive that. All of our coaches, all the guys I've put in place believe that too. And we do a lot of things we can talk about as well around the community to give back and teach these players how to be leaders and teach them how to create leaders themselves and just really make them ready for life and baseball.
So one of the things I remember, and Rick, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when we started at 9 with you. One of the first things with you is that we did you were doing some instruction, and at the very end, it was you and another one of, I think it was Bryant Jones at the time, another one of the coaches. You said, all right, I want you to come by, look them in the eye, shake their hand, and say thank you. And I'm like, man, this is a great lesson for 9-year-olds. So it's not just baseball. It's like you said, it's teaching them how to be good people. It's teaching them life skills. You have this toy drive that we think is amazing. That's affinity of ours that all the different Wolves teams brings in toys.
We got
Christmas.
about 1,200 this past year.
I mean, it's just incredible. So it's more than baseball.
It's more than being a good baseball player. It's being a good person, an overall person. You know, you're trying to develop the whole thing.
Yeah,
well,
and what you say, shake them in the hand, shake their hands.
Look them in the eye.
Look them in the eye, open doors for people, say thank you.
Yeah, I
mean, not many
thanks.
kids can
They're
do
easy.
that.
Well, and what's crazy about that is you're from California, and normally that doesn't happen over in LA, right? I mean, this is a very Kentucky thing, being polite, but no, I'm kidding for my California friends. But the other thing that I think is really cool is the coaches you have in the system really believe in what you're doing. For example, Bryant, I'm gonna name drop one from Bryant Jones, and Bryant is one of the only 3-time first-team All-Americans in college baseball. I know he played in the Reds organization. He was a phenomenal player, but he's also a phenomenal coach. Many times Bryant's told me, such and such wants me to become coach, such and such organization. And he goes, but I love Zev's mission. And it's given some of these kids an opportunity that wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity. And then you see somebody in our situation, like at 11U, we started with kind of a ragtag group. And I think some of the coaches that have probably played us at 9 and 6, 7, 8, and 9 are probably like, geez, you look at us now, it's a world of difference. And the reason is the instruction. And we've given these kids an opportunity and they've bought in. And the instruction that you guys provide from the Wolves side of things is pretty phenomenal.
Brian got to hit off Justin Verlander.
See, there you
also,
go.
But he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, we'll have him on here one time and talking about that.
But yeah, he's great, and he's amazing to have around. He's our vice president. He does a million things for the organization and for the teams. He coaches our 12-year-olds and one of our 15-year-old teams this year, but he's all over the place with our teams doing hitting instruction and just, hanging out with the guys.
He helps all the teams.
Yeah, right.
We've had opportunities with him too as well. He's not just focused on one team. He helps the whole organization. And he's great. Every time we've ran into him, he's been phenomenal.
So we're the only dad coaches in the organization. Most of your coaches are guys that are baseball guys with high-level baseball backgrounds. Talk to me about that a little bit.
When we started, that was my goal, was to not have any dad coaches. No offense, fellas.
Yeah, but, no, sure.
That was my goal, to not have any dad coaches. I was able to use contacts that I knew of guys I played with at Spalding or guys that I coached with at Spalding, or I have one guy who coached me at Spalding who coaches with us. So I was able to just network and use connections that I had to put together a really great coaching staff. And that was in 2012, and it's got better and better each year.
You know, we could debate kind of the negatives and positives of that. You know, there's some positives on both sides, and we kind of mentioned a little bit of that in the beginning. But, man, I tell you what, the coaches that you have in the organization, they're there for the right reasons, and that's not always easy. You know, they're not just there to get paid and make money or whatever it is. They truly care about these kids and the success of these teams and these kids getting better and improving as people. And it's a pretty awesome organization to be a part of for all those reasons. Yeah. So if let's say you're a baseball guy, you listen to this podcast, you may not have a kid of age, but would love to get into coaching some 11, 12, 13-year-old travel ball. Are you always looking for coaches, or how does that work?
I'm always looking. I vet these guys really hard. I get people that reach out a couple a month, and oftentimes I just don't feel like they're qualified enough, or I meet them and I just don't feel that they're the right fit. I might get a weird vibe from them, or kind of like you said, if they're not in it for the right reason. If they sit down and they ask me immediately, how much am I getting paid? I'm thinking this guy might not be in it for the right reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's just it. I mean, it's more about kind of growing your craft. All right, so being an ex-college player and ex-college coach, what do you think it takes to get to that next level? Now, obviously, I'm skipping the high school level here, but really, it's what factors does it take to continue to play at that next level when it comes to baseball?
Do you mean starting as like a 17-year-old in high school or something?
Yes.
Right around
there? And the reason I'm getting at this, Ev, is you're highly involved in getting these kids recruited.
Yes.
I've worked with you in the past doing some videos and doing some marketing things for certain kids because you want to get them on the radar. So what do you think college coaches are looking for?
We've had 36, I believe, sign with colleges up to this point. Our first class that was old enough to go to college was in 2015.
Yep.
And we had 7 or 8 that year. And then after that, every year we've had a couple at least that have gone. So I think the total number is 36 now.
All right. So what do you think these college coaches are looking for?
They always ask about grades first, and people don't seem to realize that or realize.
So that's the first question.
But it's always, how are their grades? It's how are their grades, how's their family, or how's the kid, and then
So they don't even mention baseball.
Yeah, baseball's third. Baseball is always.
What do you mean
third.
family?
Always
so are they
third.
saying is it a nightmare parent situation type thing?
They want to know the kid's background, of course. It doesn't mean if the kid has a bad background that they're going to think less of them or they're not going to recruit them, but they want to know about their family. They want to know about the parents. Most colleges, and when I was at Spalding, we always did this, is we would have as much as the family come in as possible. We would say, bring your mom and dad, bring your brother and sister, bring your aunt if she's close. Bring everybody in.
Everybody
we'll sit
can.
down.
Everybody that wants to come.
Yeah, we'll sit down and meet. And you know, half the time you're meeting with these players that for whatever reason they're not going to end up coming to your school, but you've got to put in the time and meet with everybody and get to know the family. Yeah, it's really important. And then in a very nice way, you kind of say to the parents at the end, I'm available to talk at times if you need me, but this is going to be the last time that you and I kind of interact as far as playing time relationship goes. Like they're in college now. That is over.
It's really interesting. When I was being recruited, so I played an individual sport, golf, and when I was being recruited for college, not once was I asked about my family, nor did any of the 15 or so college coaches that I talked to talk to anybody in my family.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's super interesting to me. Now, that's probably more because it's an individualized sport. It's really all about kind of what that individual can do, where baseball's...
Nobody's going to be calling you up, about playing time.
Exactly.
Why's my kid not playing?
Right.
Why's my kid
There's
not
only
playing
one person to hold accountable here. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh. That's awesome.
Yeah, but the grades even more so than that. For our 16 and 17-year-old teams, every summer when they go play in these big showcase type of tournaments, I make like a little recruiting sheet that's just got their name and school and position and jersey number so guys can see them, but there's always like a ACT or a GPA on there as well.
Some of the Wolves teams in the past, and this is an organization you started in 2012, have been kind of your lower level type travel ball teams, just being realistic and honest here. But your older teams have always been like at the top.
Yeah.
They've always been kind of the better teams. Why do you think that is?
I think the coaching has a big part to do with that. When you're 15, 16, 17, you should be looking for the better coach, not looking for the better team. So I think at that age, we're nobody really can match us at the 15 and up level as far as coaching. There's a lot of great coaches, and there's coaches I feel that are, of course, equal to our guys, but I don't think there's anybody better at those ages.
That's awesome. I mean, and I totally agree, because I think it's all about the coaching, which, I think that's why your successful teams at any age level have a high level, really good coach, and that's a big piece of it. So those families that haven't been through the travel ball, rigors, and they're just starting out. Say they got a 9 or 10-year-old who's just starting travel ball. What can they expect? What they're dealing with now versus high school. So we start in March and go to summer. These high school kids are playing their high school team. How is that evolving from getting a kid from high school team to your travel team?
You mean like how the scheduling works, so there's not
and like where these kids are coming from? Are they all coming from the same team? Are they all wanting to play together? Are they wanting to branch out?
It's a complete mishmash of players from all over the city and all over the state, which I think is like one of the coolest things is we've got players from Spencer County and Breckenridge County, and then they're on the same team with kids from Eastern and Mail and St. X and Trinity and Ballard and everywhere. And
you get a ton of county kids.
Yeah, we get a ton of county kids. We had a team a couple years ago. I don't remember if they were 16 or 17, but they were a really good team. And we had one person that lived in Louisville. Everybody else was a county.
Wow.
We had a couple Oldham County kids in there, but everybody else was
That's interesting.
Counties. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
But to answer your question, we do our tryouts for the older guys in September a little bit later than they do with the younger players. And then we start practicing with them in October. 1 day a week until February 15th every year. We completely shut down February 15th so they can focus on their high school teams and their high school schedules, and then we will get back together normally we get back together in the very end of May. This year for our older teams it's going to be a week or two later because the high school season got pushed back so much because of COVID. But normally we'll get together in the end of May, and they will all start playing their tournaments the first weekend of June for those older teams, and they play through June or July.
Well, obviously, we are big fans of the Wolves Travel Ball Organization, and if you are in the market or looking, and look, there's a lot of great coaches and organizations, especially at our level, but if there's ever anything you want to shop around a little bit, I certainly would highly recommend giving any of your age groups a look.
But hey, you said earlier our younger teams historically have not been very good, and that's accurate. But you guys, as 11, you were crushing it this year. Our 10-year-old team is playing really well, coached by Jared Baker, who also coaches our 14-year-old team. He's also the athletic director at Western High School.
He was their baseball coach at one point too, right?
Yeah, so I mean, our 10-year-olds have a great baseball coach. You guys are crushing it at 11, and Bryant coaches our 12-year-olds, and they've finished runner-up in a couple tournaments. They've struggled a little bit throughout the year, but they're a brand new team this year, and they've got some really good players. And I'm sure, just like you guys, by the time they're 14, I think that team's going to be really good. Well,
especially with Bryant coaching, because there's going to be kids that want to come play for him, so he's going to constantly kind of improve that talent because it's hard to beat his coaching for sure. All right, so where do you see the state of travel ball going? So obviously rec ball around here is dying, and this is kind of a Louisville thing. It's different depending on where you live. But owning a travel ball organization, where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think travel ball is going to get stronger and it's going to get bigger over the next couple years. I think that COVID had really hurt a lot of independent teams that weren't part of an organization like us or like some of the others in the city. So I think some of those organizations might grow a little bit, a team, an age here or there, and I think it's really going to hurt kind of like the independent team.
What do you get out of coaching youth?
I love doing it. It's my full-time job is running the Wolves and running our facility and doing baseball lessons and baseball camps and just running the organization overall. I just really love doing it. So
beyond really loving it, is there something that, the kids, when they come to your clinics or play for your teams, I remember you came to our game this past weekend, and the kids loved it. They're like, Zev's here. They're all jacked up because you were there. And, they love when you're around. They love going to your clinics.
And to be honest, they were a little more well-behaved.
I don't know about that. I know my son in particular, he had a moment that I was embarrassed he did in front of Zev. But, I don't know. Regardless, they love being around you. So why do you think, obviously there's some good give and take there. They respect you. Why do you think that is?
When I was 15 years old, I was giving about 20 baseball lessons a week in people's garage or batting cage or, at a park with wiffle balls. Like, I just been doing it for, I guess 19 years now. Hikes. Old.
You date yourself there.
I've been doing it since I was 15. I started a business.
Yep.
When I was 15 years old, I had advertised in local newspapers.
That's awesome.
Magazines and stuff like that.
That's awesome. All right. So, being that you've done this for so long, what's been the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is finding the coaches that I need to coach. Like I said, we have 10 teams this year. I think we could have 20 if I found that many coaches that I would love to coach a Wolves team. I vet them so hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult to find coaches that I trust, with other people's kids, and a coach I can look all these families in the eyes and say, hey, this guy is going to be great for your son and for your team. I would say that's the hardest part, is finding those kind of guys.
Makes sense. All right, before we wrap this thing up, we're going to do a favorite drill of yours that you like to do with your teams, and we're going to play our rules question thing at the end. But what you may not know is Zev is also a part owner in a business called Guardian Baseball. And Guardian Baseball is I'll let you explain it. What's Guardian Baseball?
Guardian Baseball is an online baseball and softball equipment company. I have a partner named Matt Kubanzik. We started this company 3.5 years ago. And from starting it in the upstairs of my baseball facility to now, we've become one of the best-selling baseball equipment companies online. We are the fastest-growing baseball and softball company on Amazon, and we are open with every major baseball brand that you can imagine. We do most of our business online through Amazon. Our website is guardianbaseball.com. We also have merchandise on eBay and Walmart. And we are local in Louisville. We have a storefront in our facility. People are welcome to come check it out, guardianbaseball.com. And we are in the process of getting our own Guardian branded gear. So we will soon have Guardian batting gloves and Guardian baseball accessories, and the way Evo Shield has that protective line, we're going to have our own Guardian protective line. So we're in the process of getting our branded stuff together. It'll be here soon. We're really excited about it. We've actually been meeting with a couple Major League Baseball players about becoming a part of this business in a couple different ways that I don't want to get into at the moment. But we've been meeting with some good people, and we feel really great about where it's going.
I saw a baseball glove that's a Guardian branded glove that's got the American flag on it.
Yeah.
I can't wait till you guys are selling because it's so cool.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming.
And Guardian is our flagship sponsor of our Travel Ball podcast.
Yes.
We're gonna roll this out here.
100%.
We're gonna roll this out. So Guardian's gonna be our first title sponsor. We're excited about that. We're still working out some details. But I can't wait because that's pretty awesome. And so you're going to be hearing a lot about Guardian Baseball.
We noticed also there was sort of a need locally in Louisville for good baseball equipment. Dixon Academy, they have some stuff, but they just don't have everything that you need to be ready.
What's the
be
niche?
Ready to play. We had a team come from Michigan to Louisville to play in a tournament, and they needed catching gear, and they couldn't find it at Dixon Academy, so they just showed up at our facility. And
really?
They said, hey, we found you online. Can we get some catcher's gear? We said, yeah, absolutely. So we sold them catcher's gear, and throughout the day, like 3 or 4 team members from that team came and bought stuff from us. And they went to Dick's, they went to Academy, they couldn't find what they needed.
So you can come in and, let's say, try on shoes or pants if you had to. Okay.
Yeah, stop on by.
All right.
Man, that's awesome. Where you guys have come from being in the upstairs part of the baseball facility to where you guys now at the new warehouse.
We have an 8,000 square
foot.
Oh
my
warehouse.
gosh, it's incredible how much you guys have grown and how well. And it's pretty remarkable to have seen the growth you guys have accomplished. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
All right, favorite drill.
I always start off our first high school, or whatever high school team I'm coaching that year, whatever high school age Wolves team I'm coaching that year. I always start off our first summer practice, which will be in a couple weeks, with pop-up priority drill. So what I mean by that is you put the defense out on the field, everybody's out there, everybody's in their position, and the coach hits however many, 20, 30, 40 pop-ups, just randomly hits them around the field, and the team has to communicate and catch the fly ball. So sounds simple, but it's a really great drill that involves the entire team. Any team defense drill, I'm all about getting the team together on the field. So you get everybody down there, get everybody organized. It works on communicating, which is one of the most under-practiced thing in baseball, is having teams communicate on defense. Mm-hmm. So there's a pop-up priority. This guy catches it before this guy, and so on and so on. And you just hit, and they work to communicate, catch the fly ball. I always have them throw it in quickly at a good pace so it doesn't become lazy. Throw it into one of the corner guys, the first baseman or the third baseman. Throw it to the catcher. When the ball's on the way to the catcher, that next pop-up's hit. and you got these guys running around. They're screaming ball, they're screaming take it, whatever it is, they're screaming that, and you have everybody involved. So if the ball is hit, fly ball to the left fielder, yeah, that left fielder's going to catch it, but he's screaming ball. The center fielder's screaming take it. The third baseman is screaming take it. Everybody's communicating. Everybody knows what's going on.
I like that drill.
Wow.
Also, for us and travel ball teams in general, you have guys that play at a bunch of different high schools, so they might all have different terminology and different words that they're going to use. So that just helps your team get on the same page and communicate. And I just like any drill that gets everybody talking, everybody working together, and everybody on the same page.
Man, we need to use that one, Rick. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. We've made our share of mistakes on routine pop-ups.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, kids running into each other.
Oh yeah.
And it's important too. That way too, you give you and, you know, in front of the entire team, you give the shortstop and you give the center fielder, you give them all this control. Like, hey, you know, Eli, his son playing shortstop, you've got all the control in the world. I mean, you're not going to run to first base and catch the ball, but man, you're playing shortstop. If you can catch it, go catch it. Make it easy.
We had that conversation last night, actually.
Yep.
We did. That's awesome. I like that. You know, the thing that always drives me crazy as a coach is mine, and nobody hears it.
Yeah.
They called it,
Right.
but nobody else hears it. I mean, it needs to be pronounced and loud, and I think doing a drill like that, doing a drill like that will really help making sure that person has it.
Yep.
I
We'll
like
use
that.
that for sure.
All right.
Can I say, before we do this quiz, we do a lot of different community service events throughout the year and a lot of different sort of fundraisers, different organization. We just got involved with the Alternative Baseball League, which is similar to the Special Olympics, except this is just going to focus on special needs baseball, softball team.
Awesome.
So we just got involved with them. They're looking for players for their team. The age is pretty broad. I believe it's something like 13 to 18, or it might even be 13 and up. They're just looking for players to play on this team. So we'll put some of that information out on our website and our Facebook and Instagram page, but they're looking for players with special needs, and we'll put out a lot more information about that.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Awesome. I love it. All right. You're a former college catcher, so you should know this one. All right.
This is a bunch of hard
I don't know that they're hard. I mean, they're kind of these myths that are out there in the baseball world. All right.
Okay.
Can a runner steal on a foul tip?
Like, can he steal and stay at second base?
Can he steal? So the runner's stealing, but the batter foul tips it.
Like a straight foul tip.
Straight foul tip.
Into the catcher's mitt?
Yeah, so let's say the catcher catches it.
Yeah, he can steal.
So as long as the catcher catches it, there's nothing foul about it.
No, I think he can catch it and throw it right down.
You're correct. That's a
just
good
like
one.
a regular strike.
There's a lot of people think, hey, he foul tipped it, he can't go.
So is that on any number of out, like first strike, second strike, third strike?
Yes.
So you can steal on a foul tip.
Yes.
It happens so fast.
I
though.
bet the umpires don't even know.
As long as the catcher catches it.
Okay.
It happens so fast, I don't think it affects the play even.
Right, and I think that's it. So if the ball nicks the bat and goes in the catcher's glove or hand and is caught, this is a foul tip by definition. A foul tip is a strike, and the ball is live. It is the same as a swing and a miss. If the ball is not caught, it's obviously it's a foul ball.
It,
yep. Awesome. All right, let's do. Is it a force out when a runner is called out for not tagging up on a fly ball?
Is it a force out?
Mm-hmm.
If he's called out.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to say yes too, but just because I don't know what else you would call it.
A force play is when a runner is forced to advance because the batter became a runner. The batter is out on a caught fly. All forces are removed. An out on a failure to tag up is not a force out. Any runs that cross the plate before this out will count. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
See, that's another one of those myths that's kind of like, man, you get into these situations in the game and it's bang, bang, and you get these umps getting yelled at by 4,000 different people.
You think everybody's out.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. A pitch that bounces to the plate cannot be hit.
It can be hit.
False, yeah.
Yeah,
you
that's
can,
true.
You can hit it. You can hit
A pitch, a pitch is a ball delivered to the plate by the pitcher. It does not matter how it gets to the batter. The batter may hit any pitch that is thrown legally. A pitch that bounces before reaching the plate may never be called a strike or legally called a third strike. However, if the batter hits it, it may be a hit.
Also, if it hits
or you
them.
can be hit by the pitch.
Yes. We had that happen this weekend too. So we had a great. Now this is going to air after Memorial Day, Ricks, but we had played this previous weekend and we went 4-0. What was remarkable about our weekends, and I think you'll be proud of us in this, is everybody was scared to death of our catcher. He threw 3 kids out in a row, and at one point, and it was great because the parents on the other team were like, "Stop!" They were telling the coach, "Quit trying to steal," because our catcher was kept throwing him out. And he's got an absolute cannon. The best thing for us, though, the entire weekend, we only had 4 walks.
I know. It's amazing.
And that's how you win games. And for 11 years old, now obviously I guess when you get a little bit older, walks become, less of a thing.
We played a lot of innings. We only played 4 games, but we played...
every single one of them. Well, 2 of them went overtime.
Yeah. Well, extra innings.
We're
not playing basketball.
Right.
4 walks for the weekend is pretty amazing.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it?
For any age. I would take that on a 17-year-old team.
Yeah,
4 walks on a weekend.
It was a great weekend. We ran into, again, the Strikers team that, as I've said before, I think has the best player around. And we were fortunate to pull that one out because they're a great team. But it was a great win for us. It was a great weekend. The Oldham County team that we played, they've got a great ball club.
Really good. Yeah.
They had a great pitcher.
Yeah.
And then we played a fire team that's always dangerous. Fern Creek can.
They always give us a good game.
Oh, they can beat anybody at any time. Who's the other team we played? We played one other.
We played the Knights twice.
Oh, we played the Knights twice. Yeah. So we had a good weekend and excited to get back out there. Does that have anything else you want to leave us with?
No.
How do they find you on Guardian Baseball again?
GuardianBaseball.com.
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 Any of your baseball needs.
Or
now,
Amazon, right?
Are they going to get better prices?
Yes. Best prices on the internet.
Love it.